Hi, class. I wanted to start talking about the research paper. I know some students have already maybe gotten started on it, which good for you. Hopefully, you don't need to go back and change anything after listening to this video. I'm going to do a few videos. I'll also hold Zooms if you guys decide that you would rather do this sort of in a discussion format. We're getting closer to the 8 weeks, so I thought it was a good time to start talking more specifically about the paper. As I think I discussed before, you are doing this a little bit differently um, than we've done in the past, or if this was an in-person class. So you're not having to come up with the topic um, specifically. You aren't having to come up with the surveys. So, for example, we have the social media use scale survey that we already used, and the Rosenberg self-esteem scale that we also already used. So we use these two scales. This part has been done for you. These are the results. It doesn't show you the actual survey, so I'll have to, where do I have those? Did I maybe, no, here's the results. So and here's where the positive, it shows the positive correlation, which we'll come back to. Since I'm touching on it, though, I'll at least let you see. This is where the results were already done. It shows a positive correlation between self-esteem and social media. But we'll come back to that in a later video. The main purpose of this video is to talk about the introduction to your paper. We'll also come back to the abstract, because the abstract, and I'm going to show you. So here's an example of a paper. The abstract you usually come back to after you've already given out your surveys, you've already gathered your data from your surveys, you already have your results. Then you're able to come back and say, this is what we did and this is what the results showed. So we'll come back to the abstract. I want to start with the introduction. And here is an example of an APA style paper that you have access to. The introduction is your background. So you've already done some literature review on social media and self-esteem. And I told you that you had a little bit of freedom within that if you wanted to get more specific on self-esteem, or specific types of social media or things like that. But our basic gist is going to be how social media affects self-esteem. And the introduction is where you would start. So the introduction is a background. And if you recall, every research study is based on other research, and then your research, whatever your results showed, whether they support or don't support your hypothesis about your study, that's going to be built upon by the next research, whether you do it or somebody else does it. So your introduction is the purpose for your research and for this study. So our study will influence the next study, like I said. Your two surveys are based on literature. So you need to have at least 3 resources for social media and 3 resources for self-esteem. So that's any literature review that you found that you've decided to use. You're going to write 1 page on social media, why it's important to your study, 1 page on self-esteem, why that's important to the study, and then how the two overlap. So how does social media affect self-esteem based on the research that you have found? You're going to start very general in your introduction, and then you're going to get very specific towards the end. And then that's going to lead to your hypothesis. Um, so here you see the literature review. So that's the only part that I want you to focus on right now, is just those research studies that you have found that, like I said, 3 resources for social media, 3 resources for self-esteem, and you're going to talk about how those are important. So it's about 3 to 4 pages, and it will stop right here, right before the method section, which does not start on a new page. You don't so much have to worry about that right now, but it's just good to understand. So all of this that you're writing in your intro is coming from literature. And I wanted to point out that I have extra resources that can help you in specifics of writing papers, about formatting. It's because APA is very specific. This gives you a general. This talks about paraphrasing to help you with paraphrasing as you're looking at the literature and figuring out how to write about it, and making sure you're citing and all of those specific kind of things that are important in writing papers, especially APA. I hope that is understandable to you. So the focus right now, I'd say for the next 2 weeks, would just be starting on the intro and making sure that you have 3 good resources for each, self-esteem and social media, and then starting to write that. If you have questions as you're starting to write, feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to start working on a video for abstract, and then also a video for methods. And we'll keep touching base. I will put in announcements this week to reach out to me if you'd like a Zoom meeting to talk more together in one space. I'm happy to do that. Otherwise, I will keep releasing these videos. I'll try to do it every week. And if I'm getting certain questions, then I will address those in the videos as well. I hope you guys are having a good semester so far, a good weekend, and I will talk to you very soon.